As a young citizen of India, armed with technology, knowledge, and love for my nation, with a vision of transforming India into a developed nation, I'm joining Shobhit University. What about you?
Namaste.
Very good morning to all the participants from India and abroad, and also to our guest speaker from the Shobhit Institute of Engineering and Technology, Meerut, deemed to be university, and its centers of excellence, Center for Informatics Development Solutions and Applications, Center for Industry 4.0 Technology Studies and Applications, in association with African Asian Rural Development Organization, ARDO, New Delhi, organized this weekly international webinar series on open source digital technologies towards self-reliant India, Atmanirbhar Bharat. Today is 15th January 2022. This webinar series is between 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. Indian Standard Time. On behalf of the Honorable Chancellor, His Excellency the Secretary General of ARDO, Honorable Vice Chancellor, the faculty members of the university, and on my behalf, and as Professor Emeritus and Chairman of Centers of Excellence, Center for Agricultural Informatics and E-Governance Research Studies, Center for Agribusiness and Disaster Management Studies, Center for Informatics Development Solutions and Applications, and Center for Industry 4.0 Technology Studies and Application, and Center for Health Informatics and Computing. Let me welcome our guest speaker of today's webinar, 59th edition of the webinar series. On the topic, very important topic, transforming India through relevant education and vocational training. Our guest speaker is Shri Krishan, Khanna, founder and chairman iWatch Think Tank and Foundation, and chairman I2K Solutions, Mumbai state of Maharashtra. In a span of 34 years of working experience, Shri Krishan Khanna has been involved with 15 ventures in India, USA, Canada, Brazil, UK, Germany, Italy, Iran, Singapore, Korea, Japan, China, Taiwan, and Australia. I wish to inform the participants and the guest speaker that under the international webinar series, these two centers of excellence, CIDSA and CITSA, have organized 58 lectures so far during the COVID-19 pandemic period. They are open technologies to provision simple and economical IT infrastructure, a roadmap for students using free and open source software and reaching goals of Atmanirbhar Bharat, open source software and industrial IoT for SMEs, free and open source software adoption public business models, open data platform for smart digital government, technology imperatives, make in India for self-reliance, edge artificial intelligence, data governance for self-reliant India, digital India, transforming governance and society, India's email service, citizen at indiamail.com in 22 constitutionally recognized languages, ecosystem architecture for digital transformation, education system cyber critical infrastructure, seizing opportunities in open innovation, and value creation network in the digital world for self-reliant economy, ensuring food safety and compliance through technology, digital India, urgent need for semiconductor manufacturing in India, technology investment in agriculture value chain, role of foreign direct investments, entrepreneurship and skill development, AI design pathways, rise of platform economy, revisiting value chains governance, the era of automation, industrial robotics, and Industry 4.0, Indo-German perspective of technology transfer, skill gap analysis, and opportunities. Role of artificial intelligence in healthcare, current developments in diagnosis and vaccine research, digital agri-tech and agri-startup perspective, health informatics, network value chain, e-health system, and beyond, leveraging emerging technologies for ensuring transparent and traceable agriculture and food supply chains. Unleash the power of citizen development for enterprises software development. E-governance model towards e-governance models towards sustained quality services to citizens backed up by technology. Indian MSMEs to adopt Industry 4.0 technology capabilities, urgent need for mentorship and accelerator program. Building public digital platform using microservices and APIs. Health informatics network value chain, early childhood development and learning. Health informatics network value chain, a healthcare startup perspective. Health informatics network value chain, clinical AI, interface between machine learning and health informatics. Health informatics network value chain, importance of social medicine and community health in the times of health emergency. Gravity filter, a simple, low-cost solution to the drinking water treatment in rural India. Open source GovTech startups empowering growth with automation. Digital transformation in small enterprises and small businesses of India, challenges and opportunities. National Digital Twin Program. National Digital Twin Program, need for a robust geospatial infrastructure. Industry 4.0 in MSMEs, benefits of indigenously developed CollabCAD software from National Informatics Center. Mass serialization and anti-counterfeiting solutions to fight illicit trade, cybersecurity, risk, challenges, and solutions. Intelligence approach to reduce the cyber risk. New Internet IPv6 root server towards Atmanirbhar Connected Bharat. Indian startups, reflections, and possible policy interventions needed for scaling up to Gram Panchayat, blockchain, and crypto for digital assets platform, pathways for global trade. Robot as a service, leverage technology to solve enterprise challenges. Space startups connecting to international markets with emerging business models. Space enabling technologies for future vision. Vivekananda Secondary Education and Skills Development Mega Project. Its potential impact on rural entrepreneurship and the rural economy of India in India. The Sports Grail, a digital sports media platform, and prospects of Indian sports industry sustainability model at a global level. Pharma 4.0, Industry 4.0 applications to pharmaceutical manufacturing, path to a digital transformation. Accelerate and scale non-linear growth through partner ecosystem. Technological renaissance and the human capital, a perspective. Health informatics network value chain, medical outreach. Challenges versus potential. Beyond COVID-19, revisiting micro and small enterprises. Project management essentials, launchpad for future CEOs and startup founders beyond. Society 5.0, a new society beyond Industry 4.0 and post COVID-19. Smart village, oblique community, the African ICT oblique IoT lessons. Digital economy, ways and means to protect and empower self-reliance. Pragmatic ways for Atmanirbhar Bharat and democratization of essential services by using sustainable energy as a catalyst. Today is the 59th edition of this very important webinar series. We'll have the talk by our guest speaker, Shri Krishan Khanna, founder and chairman, iWatch Think Tank and Foundation, and chairman I2K Solutions, Mumbai, state of Maharashtra, on the very important topic transforming India through relevant education and vocational training. Dear participants, please note the keywords transforming India through relevant education and relevant vocational training. It comes from a very experienced person. Atmanirbhar Bharat is the road ahead. It is the vision of our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi, to make India a self-reliant nation rested on five I's: intent, inclusion, investment, infrastructure, and innovation, based on five pillars, namely quantum jump, not incremental economy; infrastructure, one that represents modern India; systems, 21st century technology driven; vibrant demography, sources of energy for self reliant India; and demand, whereby the strength of our demand and supply chain should be utilized to full capacity. This was announced on 15th May 2020 by the central government. Vocal for local to make it global. This also has become a clarion call by our Honorable Prime Minister. Digital India program aims to transform India into a knowledge based economy and a digitally empowered society. On 20th February 2019, the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology published a report titled India's $1 trillion digital opportunity in collaboration with McKinsey and Company. This report identified about 30 digital themes, if scaled up nationally, can accelerate India's program progress in nine key areas. Indian geospatial economy. Indian geospatial economy is on the verge of a transformational change, driven by the landmark guidelines for geospatial data and the drone rules by the Indian government to liberalize geospatial data acquisition, simplify the cumbersome certification and license process. The Gati Sakti plan of the Honorable Prime Minister, it is a national master plan for multinodal connectivity, will help raise the global profile of local manufacturers and help them compete with their counterparts worldwide. It also raises possibilities of new feature economic zones. Digital world, the rise of platform economy. It is emerging, and the digital ecosystems are essential for digital transformation in the digital world. The frontier technologies in the digital ecosystems in the planet are cloud computing, mobile phones, IoT platforms, social media, GPS, advanced human computer interaction, authentications and intrusion detection, 3D printing, smart sensors, augmented reality and virtual reality, analysis of big data and advanced algorithms, and user data collection. And there are 10 emerging technologies making an impact in 2020 as per some publications 2 years back. They are AI, 5G, IoT, serverless computing, biometrics, augmented reality, virtual reality, blockchain, robotics, natural language processing, and quantum computing. The metaverse is a parallel universe where human, augmented, and virtual realities are supposed to merge. Digital transformation is building public digital platform using microservices and APIs. What is the ecosystem in which India is operating? It has got an agriculture 4.0, industry 4.0, and society 5.0 technologies framework. Japan has come out with the society 5.0. German has given industry 4.0, and agriculture 4.0 has been recommended by the Doubling Farmers Income by 2022 report 2018. On 4th December 2021, we had a talk on Society 5.0, a new society beyond Industry 4.0 and post COVID 19 by Tomio Isoge, is the former managing director, Sharp India Limited. On 18th December 2021, Mr. Chandrapillai talked on Smart Village, Oblique Community, the African ICT oblique IoT lesson, and discussed how a smart village and the community led by technology supported or data driven smart farming, integrated, self sustainable, ecosystem driven, acropolitan enclaves, and integrated with the forward and backward farm extension services offers an integrated and self sustainable economy, service dependency, education, healthcare, safety, security, and user engaging systems linked to the national oblique global economy and an agropolitan community society living in smart enclaves. And this is what he talked in his address that. And on 1st January 2022, Shri Satyanarayanan Banwarilal Tankyaji, founder trustee, Innovative Thought Forum, Ahmedabad, he talked about pragmatic ways for Atmanirbhar Bharat, and wherein he quoted, among others, articles which were in the form of seeds for transformational enterprises that can be created, and a few illustrations as follows: utilization of wastelands, PPP model for MSMEs, bringing India's unorganized dairy sector, dairy farmers into mainstream, fly ash as a resource material, and digital literacy for India, and democratization of essential services. On 4th November 2021, Shri Krishna Mishra, a global Asoka fellow and founder and chairman of Equity Rural Management Services Bhubaneswar, talked about democratizing the future of farming, a global experience. And on 8th January 2022, Dr. Harish Khande, Raman Magsaysay Awardee in 2011, co-founder and chairman of Solar Electric Light Company, a 1995 for-profit social enterprise, Bangalore, talked about democratization of essential services by using sustainable energy as a catalyst. Very impacting address. And we hear that a lot of webinars and seminars nowadays on democratization of technology, democratization, a necessary disruption in enterprise IT, seamless IT democratization, a three-step approach, and learning from COVID-19 going forward, democratization of technology is must. Using fintech to democratize financial services, data democratization, and essential services and critical infrastructure. And as per the Information Technology Act 2000, defines critical information infrastructure as those computer resource, the destruction of which shall have debilitating impact on national security, economy, public health, or safety. National Critical Information Infrastructure Protection Center has identified the following as critical sectors: power and energy, banking, financial services and insurance, telecom, transport, government, and strategic and public enterprises. I wish to refer to the talk on Vivekananda Secondary Education and Skill Development in Mega Project, its potential impact on rural entrepreneurship and the rural economy in India by Mr. Ashish Puttamkar, specialist in infrastructure design, infrastructure project design, initiator of Construct India Mission, lead designer, Defense Industrial Corridor Project, and so on and so forth, on 25th September 2021. The importance of high quality school education for rural India. using digital educational system and the requirement of setting up 2.5 lakhs vocational training center in rural India is not exaggerated as per the publication of Shri Krishan Khanna, the today's guest speaker. He talks about in his published document the present 650 Krishi Vigyan Kendras in 731 districts of India are very inadequate. China has 3.5 lakhs rural skill training centers in rural China and 1.5 lakh skill centers in urban China. Put together, it is about 5 lakhs skill centers in the entire China. I have been voicing for agricultural polytechnics and agricultural ITIs, one per each block since 2004. And importance of training of at least 25,000 farmer producer organization leaders per year as per the ICAR and Niti Aayog committee called Abhyas, where Shri Krishan Khanna was nominated as an important, is very important. I decided to inform our guest speaker that Shobhit Institute of Engineering and Technology has established 5 centers of excellence promoting technology in rural India. And this deemed university can undertake training of farmer producer organization leaders using case studies through sponsorship. Book published by iWatch in 12 Indian languages and English covers 47 articles on governance, education, economy, and employment. Current projects with their impact and benefits to the youth and civil society are explained. India has 40,000 colleges and even and but only 10,250 vocational centers. India has got 40,000 colleges but only 10,250 vocational centers. China has 5 lakh centers. Germany has 1 lakh centers. And even small Switzerland and Australia have got nearly 6,000 centers each. This book is intended for teachers, parents, youth, and the civil society. India needs, he says, 10 million trained people per year per year of different verticals in the following 3 sectors. He says that India needs 10 million trained people per year in different verticals in the following 3 sectors: agriculture, services, and manufacturing. Shri Krishan Khanna has been lobbying since the last 20 years that India should be made as an international hub for all the types of higher and technical education. Personally, 250,000 students leave the country every year for higher studies, causing a foreign exchange drain of US dollars 20 billion per year, sufficient to build 200 IIMs or 100 IITs per year. This was also endorsed by our former President of India, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, in February 2008. Finally, in the budget of 2019, the finance minister announced that India would become an international hub for all type of higher and education, technical education. Implementation is yet to start. Are we ready? With this background, let us now turn to the address by our guest speaker, Sri Krishan Khanna, founder and chairman iWatch Think Tank Foundation and chairman I2000 Solutions, Mumbai, state of Maharashtra, on the topic transforming India through relevant education and vocational training. This topic will motivate and galvanize the participants watching over telecast through facebook.com/Soviet University India or youtube.com/Soviet University in or linkedin.com/company/Soviet University for motivating them to get inspired or undertaking transforming India through relevant education and vocational training at a grassroots level, that is at 2.25 lakh gram panchayat in India. In the financial year 2021, the number of centers within the Common Services Center scheme in rural as well as urban areas reached 4.3 million. The scheme was initiated in 2009 by the Indian Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology to provide facility centers for governmental e-services, according to the report by Statista Research Department, 7th May 2021. We have at the grassroots level 4.3 billion common services centers. Why they are not becoming skill centers? Let me introduce our guest speaker to the participants of the webinar. Mr. Manish, can you put the profile? Shri Krishna Khanna is the founder and chairman, iWatch Think Tank and Foundation, and chairman I2K Solutions, Mumbai state of Maharashtra. Shri Krishna Khanna did ISC from Banaras Hindu University in 1956, first class, first place, and BTech in Mechanical Engineering from IIT Kharagpur, India, 1961, first class, first place, with a specialization in manufacturing technology. He has worked in vice chairman. He worked as vice chairman in Goganas India Limited, director in Denora India Limited, president and CEO of Precision Fasteners, general manager in New India Exports Limited, and different assignments in Tata SSL Limited. As manager, joint ventures, overseas project, R&D, marketing, manufacturing, planning, and R&D assistant manager in Feltham and Quilom, work in Germany, and planning engineer in George Muller in Nuremberg, Germany, and sales engineer in New Jersey, USA. In 1992, Sri Krishna Khanna set about a journey of transforming India through relevant education and vocational training by setting up an NGO, iWatch, and initiated policy initiatives with the central government from 2014 to 2021 in agriculture, higher and technical education, and MSME. He has sent proposals to the PMO during 2014 to 2019, suggesting 35 different initiatives for improving the nation, covering Swachh Bharat initiatives, water, education, skill, employment, exports, agriculture, MSMEs, tourism, reservation, SDG goals, and other relevant issues. The R&D team led by Mr. Krishan Khanna developed a large number of steel wires as import substitutes during 1965-1978, which resulted in foreign saving of about US dollar 1.1 billion a year. And these products are used by textile, construction, ball bearing, mining, agriculture, and automotive industry. In 1971, he developed the present-day pre-stressed, precast concrete railway sleeper on which the railway line is laid, used by all Indian railways, and the entire work was completed in 12 months. As the chairman of iWatch Think Tank and Foundation, Shri Krishna Khanna was instrumental in introducing the concept of SMEs instead of SSIs in association with the FICCI in 2001, and also promoted the importance of vocational education and training for skill development, skill building, and employment generation during 1992 and 2014 till the Ministry of Skills and Development and Entrepreneurship was established in 2014. In view of this continuous engagement with the Niti Aayog on the needs of farmer produce organization, as 90% of the Indian farmers are marginal farmers with less than 1 hectare land, the finance minister has announced that India needs another 10,000 farmer produce organization in 2018 budget. Mr. Manish, can you put the other slide? Sri Krishna Khanna has contributed enormously as a member in various general state governments, central and state governments, as well as industry bodies, educational and vocational committees during 2005 and 2018. He is the recipient of National Citizen Award 1995-96 as Technocrat of the Year, as presented by Honorable Prime Minister of India. Recipient of Rajiv Gandhi Award for 2007 for outstanding proactive leadership, presented by FOSAC, Friends of South Asian African Community, USA. Recipient of Social Business Pioneer Award 2010, presented by Professor Muhammad Yunus, Nobel laureate on behalf of the worldwide Grameen movement, and also recognized by the Education World, the leading India's magazine on education, published from Bangalore in June 2012, as one of the 50 people in India who have influenced Indian education. Shri Krishna Khanna is the founding member of www.iit.org, an Indian IIT-based organization to promote scalable and world-class social project for improving the nation. Videos made by Krishan Khanna, main focus areas of iWatch Think Tank and Foundation on major 12 topics in YouTube on Krishna Khanna Transforming India. It's available. With this, I would like to request Shri Krishna Khanna to deliver his address in the international webinar series on open source digital technologies for self-reliant India, Atmanirbhar Bharat, on a very important topic, transforming India through relevant education and vocational training. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Moni. I'm honored by giving us this opportunity today to speak to you, your team, and your audience worldwide. I'm really impressed about the amount of research which the Shobhit University has done so far in 59 other seminars. And also, I'm equally impressed about the details in which you have gone into about all the information you have collected about our foundation, for which I'm truly humbled. In fact, I must say that you have made my work very easy, since you have given a very, very elaborate information, not only about your university, which I applaud and salute, but also a little bit about the work which we have done in the last 30 years. I would like to mention that as I had spoken to you and to Manishji yesterday, I do not wish to give any PPT presentation. The reason is the retention of any written information during any seminar or any conference, retentions are very low. It's very normal. It's a human issue. It's nothing to do with the quality of the people. The retention is low. So to improve the retention, we have suggested the use of our 12 videos, which are available on YouTube, which you have very kindly mentioned. And of course, to reinforce all that we have said, or all the solutions and suggestions which we offer for the Indian economy, not only for education and vocational training, but also other interconnected subjects like governance, economy, MSMEs, and other issues. All of them are reproduced in our handbook, which you mentioned. I will just show for the readers. This is how it looks like. It's called Transforming Bharat. This is the latest edition. And we publish it in 12 Indian languages. And in fact, I would strongly suggest for listeners who are really interested to understand as to why the nation has not moved in the speed and the style in which it should have in the last 75 years, they may like to get a copy of this handbook. We have it in English, we have it in Hindi. This is the Hindi version, Bharat Ka Kayakalp. We have it in, since I live in Maharashtra, the latest version is also available in Marathi. And other languages are being processed, because this is the 25th edition. We started publishing in 1993 and started with 16 pages, and now we are today at 266 pages. Because what happens that I have met, for example, I'll just tell you that in Delhi, IIT, just like in all the other 23 IITs, they have a Department of Rural Development. This is run in Delhi by Professor V.K. Vijay. And when I went to meet him 3 years ago, he was so happy, and he said, I still have your old edition of 2010. I said, sir, please pass it on, but I'm giving you now the new edition of 2018. He says, because the information which you have given is so universal that we don't feel like throwing this handbook in the scrap, because it is all information which you have researched, and you have made it very lean. because some of my journalist friends have told me that why don't you give us your handbook, which is only 250 pages, we will make it 2000 pages. I said, nobody will read a handbook of 2000 pages. We have to make it very concise and to the point, and most of our articles are 1 page or 2 page, and they are point wise. Being an engineer, we write down point number one, two, three, so that people can scan and understand very clearly. Having said that, I'd like to come to the main subject of education and vocational training or skill building. When I passed out from IIT, I had scholarships since I had topped my position. And at that time, the other IITs had not started. I'm talking of 1961. So we had professors from USA, Germany, UK, and Russia. All those professors which were to go to the other IITs, they were all in Kharagpur. And the American professor, who was very influential in USA, he said, I have got you the scholarship. Now, where do you want to go? You want to go to MIT or Harvard or Stanford? Or I said, sir, I don't want to go for higher studies. So he said, give me one reason. I was a mechanical engineer. I said, sir, just look outside your window. There is a bullock cart. He said, yes, I can see the bullock cart going on the road. I said, sir, we can't make a bullock cart still after so many years of independence, which is a mechanical device. And I was, as a young man, a very keen aero modeler. I had made about 40-50 flying model aircraft during 1950 to 1961. And in fact, my record of 1958 in the All India Model Rally is still not been broken. We hold that record. And it'll be very difficult for people to break that record because we did a vertical takeoff of a fixed wing aircraft. Any case, so he thought I will go into aeronautical, masters and PhD and all that. I said, sir, bullock cart तो हम बना नहीं सकते, तो आप एरोप्लेन की क्या बात करते हैं? Let's first learn how to make a bullock cart, lighter weight, with ball bearings, with brake. I said, it is so heavy that the poor bull is struggling even to, empty bullock cart is not able to pull. Forget about putting material on it. I said it should be made of aluminum alloy. The wheels, instead of big wooden wheels, it should be light, cycle or motorcycle or car wheels or something, if it is a very, I said, this is all wrong. Everything is wrong. So he said, okay, then where do you want to go? I said, sir, America, I'm not going. You give it to somebody else, the scholarship. So he said, but what do you want to do in life future? I said, sir, I'm a mistri. I have a degree in mechanical engineering, but I'm very good with my hands. I'm more of a mechanic. I would like to work in Germany, not for studies, because I said even today, the best cars in the world come from Germany, whether it is Mercedes, BMW, Audi, and I said in Japan we have excellent cars. I'm sorry to say, America is far, far behind in quality. So that is what I did. I worked in India for 2-3 years, and then I went to Germany to work in a factory, not to study. And the reason, that was the beginning of my life's journey. Why I'm saying this? Because that is how I realized that Germany has certain strengths. Just for the information of our esteemed listeners, I would like to mention that Germany and Japan were completely destroyed in the Second World War. When I say destroyed, they were not only bombed, but all their know-how, what we call IPR today, was taken away by the Allies. They took away their drawings, their know-how, their machinery, their even their scientists and engineers. They took them away. They said that we will never let these countries come back again. So much so that the entire space program of USA was run by German engineers, people who had made the V1 and V2 rockets. They had made the space program for USA. And just for the further information of our esteemed audience, I'd like to mention that both Germany and Japan have no basic raw material like we have in India, iron ore, bauxite, so many minerals. They also have no energy. Most of their energy is imported. So they have no energy, they have no raw material, and they were destroyed in the Second World War. And they are very small in size, hardly 10% in area of India, very small population. Germany is 8 crores, Japan is about 12 crores. But even today, in spite of all this, the Japanese economy is much bigger than the Indian economy. The German economy is bigger. So, these are the questions which used to come to my mind because I not only worked in Germany, I got a job in Germany with an Indian company because my plan was not to live in Germany. My plan was to learn in Germany and come back to India because the real challenge was in India for me to see how we can improve the country. It has this because you see there was so much poverty I used to see, and I said that what the hell is all this education, IIT or whatever I'm doing, if we can't make a difference. So I was very fortunate that I did 30 years of business. I was in business with various companies, joint ventures. But the two most striking joint ventures was with Germany, where I was in charge of technology transfer for 5 years. So I've been to Germany like at least 400 times. My second language is German. So I'm very, you can say, comfortable traveling to Austria, Switzerland, and Germany, which are German speaking countries. And I learned a lot. Also, during the course of my work, we signed an agreement with Nippon Steel, and I again was made in charge of the technology transfer for 5 years from Japan to India. What I'm trying to say is that by the grace of the Almighty, I had first hand experience of going to Japan, coming back, going to Germany, coming back, and in the process trying to find out on my own as to why those countries are doing so well compared to India. And then I realized the truth, according to me. The truth is that before the British came, before the Islamic invaders came, we were a very, very powerful nation. We were called Sone ki Chidiya. India had about 8 lakh gurukuls, 800,000 gurukuls, where the youth used to learn a skill. They used to stay with the guru for 2, 3 years. In fact, the universities in India came much before that. We had about 14, 15, 16 universities, not only Nalanda, we had many other universities, which scholars used to come. We had universities maybe 300, 400 years before Christ, 2,500 years ago. So, in terms of knowledge, we were number one in the world at that time. And that is how we became strong. We were very strong in academic education, we were very strong in skill building, and all this resonated with my thinking when I saw Germany and Japan. I saw that in Germany, there was something known as KG, kindergarten. It's a German word. We call it KG, but actually it's a German word. Kinder means child, garten is garden. So where children of age 2 to 6 come to study. The reason is very simple. 90% of your brain is developed by the age of 6. In our country, thanks to Atal Bihari Vajpayee, in 2000, he realized when he read out the constitution in the parliament, right to education. For the first time, a Prime Minister of India was talking of education. Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan started by Atalji. And the state government said, we have no money. Because I had interviewed a lot of members of parliament, at that time mostly Congress, in Delhi, and I gave them copies of my handbook at that time. And they said, we are not interested in education because our vote banks will be destroyed. In fact, some of them offered me money to wind up my foundation. They asked me, which ministry is giving you money for running your foundation? I said, sir, I don't depend on the government. I understand the government. I have been 30 years in business. I stay away from government as far as money is concerned. You can never stop me unless you kill me. I said, this is funded by me and my family. All our assets we keep on selling and putting the money. Today, 99% of our foundation's operations are run by family money, not from government. I did go to Kapat. I was asked to meet their director general. He offered me 10 crores. I was very surprised. He says, you're doing very good work. We will give you a grant of 10 crores, but go and meet my additional secretary. Additional secretary sent me to the secretary. Secretary sent me to some junior officer. Finally, I landed on the table of the section officer. He said, साहब आपको तो पता है, आपको 40% कैश में वापस देने का है. I said, listen, my first chapter in my handbook is on governance, on Shashan. If I get 10 crores from you, I will never pay back even 1 rupee to kick back to you guys. He says, but this is the normal style of NGOs. We give them money and we get 40% kickback. We take it across the table. I said, sorry, I will not give any kickbacks and I will not take your money. It only reinforced my thinking that we were moving in the right direction as far as financing and working of our foundation is concerned. Why I'm telling you all this? Because many NGOs are only doing this work. They are converting black into white and also getting donations and giving kickbacks and all that. We are not in that business. So naturally, we have to struggle. We have to struggle a lot because there is no easy way for us since funding is from our meager, very meager resources. But having said that, I want to come back to the main subject. I realized that in Germany and Japan, the quality of school education was very high. I also realized there was hardly any dropout. Unlike in India, today the dropout in India is about 85 to 90% from class 1 to 12. And it's only in the new education policy which has come in 2020 that kindergarten, pre-primary education has been recognized for the first time by the country. It's very sad that it took the country 75 years to recognize the importance of pre-primary education. Today also, according to me, it's a gray area because pre-primary education is under the Ministry of Child and Women Development, not under Ministry of Education. The good thing is that as per the new reshuffling of the ministers in New Delhi, today Honorable Dharmendra Pradhan ji is not only Minister of Education but also Minister of Skill Development. So that is the very positive thing. Of course, the new education policy, I don't want to talk about it right now. I will come to it at a later stage. But I'm just trying to tell the audience the problems this country had. The reason is this, that, I have been 30 years in business and I can tell you from my own experience. My last job was president of an American company in Bombay. I was handed over that company by the owners, which were only two owners, Shapoorji Palanji in India. Shapoorji Palanji, for your information, is the largest shareholder of the Tata Group companies. His family owns 19% of all Tata Group companies. He's worth thousands of crores. And one American company, SPS Technologies, which is listed on the New York Stock Exchange. He had set up this company for one of his partners in 1966. After 11 years in 78, when I was working for one of his companies where I had done technology transfer from Germany, from Japan, and other things, he said, Krishan, would you like to take over as president? I was 37 years old, 38 years old. I said, yes, sir, I'll be very interested to work as a president. He said, but there is a problem. This company has been running for 11 years and we are only doing 2 crores turnover. We have 700 employees. All I can tell you is we will not interfere in the management, but we will not give you any money. Which is very funny because a man worth lakhs of crores of rupees, thousands of crores, telling you he will not put any money, but he will only give me the responsibility, which is fine because I, as a person, always took up challenges. So this was a good challenge. I took up that challenge. In 12 years, I took that company from 2 crores to 100 crores. We became number 2 in India. And my dream was in that company to export. Export where? I wanted to export to Germany and Japan. So what did we do? We started training the employees from day one. Training, training, and training. Right from the chowkidar, not the managers. I used to start with the blue collar workers and the grey collared workers, and then the managers. I'm happy to inform and share this experience with you, Professor Moni, and our audience, that we took that company from 2 crores to 100 crores without borrowing even 1 rupee from the shareholders. We generated the cash, we borrowed money, we paid back the money. Mr. Wagul, who was then the chairman of ICICI, it wasn't a bank at that time, he called me for coffee when I was leaving because I was starting my own companies, 2 companies which I started listed on the stock exchange. The companies are still running, but I am not involved. He said, tell me, how have you increased the business by 50 times in 12 years? And you have not borrowed any money. I noticed that your shareholder is Shapoorji Pallonji. I said, sir, 3 things: training, training, and training. He said, what is this nonsense you are telling me? Training, training, and training. I said, sir, in my company, I spend 1 month's salary per year, nearly 8-9% of all human resource cost on training. I said, most of the companies, this was in Thana Belapur industrial area. I said, sir, most of the companies spend less than 1% per year on training. I'm spending 9%. I said, I was questioned by the board. Why are you wasting? Why are you wasting? They would say, why are you wasting money on training? I was not wasting. I had learned my lessons in Germany and Japan, that the most important asset in a company is not land, building, plant, and machinery. The most important asset in any organization in the world, whether it is manufacturing, services, or educational institutions also, is manpower, quality human assets. And the key is, of course, education, relevant education, not ordinary education. And I will come to what is relevant. And then, of course, vocational training coupled with entrepreneurship. He was shocked. He said, he says, you have become a case study now of ICICI because we have never seen a company, and I'm talking about 1979 to 1991. Most economy was growing hardly 3-4% per year, and we were growing at 38% per year. And the secret was my people, my manpower. It was not me. It was the team. I had built up such a strong team that I was the only chief executive in that entire industrial belt who used to go 1 month per year on annual leave. When I left, I had no accumulated leave. And my managers used to come and tell me, sir, you're going on leave. What will happen? In those days, there were no cell phones. I said, if you call me, you please resign also. Send me your resignation letter also. If you can't run your department, you are not fit to be in this company. You have to leave. I will get somebody else. There are enough people in this country to run this company or any company. If you don't have the confidence, if you don't have the knowledge, I said, you have to do it yourself. You have to learn to swim. Nobody is going to hold your hand. And I made them so independent, and all of them have done so well. Many of them have left and become CEOs and chief executives, presidents, because I gave them so much training, so much confidence. In fact, just to share this experience with my audience, I reduced the manpower. We had 700 people when I started. When I left, we had 550 people. So what happened to those 150 people? They all got jobs outside. I never did VRS. They used to come to me, कि साहब हम जा रहे हैं हमको VRS. I said, why VRS? You're resigning. I'm not telling you to go. You're welcome to stay. He says, साहब, you have given us so much of training that we're getting double salary outside. I said, go. God bless you. So many of my 150 people went away during that 12 years without, we only spent money on training. And this is one experience I want to tell you. The other experience I want to tell you is that Professor C.K. Prahlad, very famous, unfortunately he passed away. He was asked when India was celebrating uh, in New York, we had a CII session with Boston Consulting and CII in 1997. 50 years of our independence. I happened to be in New York, and because I was with this American company, and I came to know that CII is having a special session in New York, and my collaborators, I used to go there twice a year to meet them. They had no interest in India, I must say. The Americans used to laugh at India at that time. They had put in a lot of money in Brazil and Mexico, but not even $1 in India. But we became the number one company. All the money they put, $60 million they had put during my tenure in Mexico and Brazil. And that became zero because the money was devalued so much due to inflation in Brazil and Mexico that $60 million became $6 in value. Anyways, that's another story. So I attended that session. Professor C.K. Prahlad was there, and he gave us a presentation. I still have that PowerPoint. If Professor Moni wants to see it, I'll be happy to send it. India at 60. We told Professor Prahlad, hey, sahab, ye 60 ka baat nahi kariye. India at 50. Tell us what India will be after 10 years or after 25 years. India at 75 means now 2022. So he made a presentation to us. So we told him, sir, this presentation is not enough. You have to come to India twice, thrice, 4 times a year. So he came to India to CII. Boston Consulting was holding the hand also. So they asked him, sir, now what is the action plan? How do we achieve? Because he compared India with China. And he said, we are very far behind. So we asked him, what is the way out? He said to Mr. Tarun Das. Tarun Das was the chief mentor of CII at that time. He's retired now. So he asked Mr. Tarun Das, okay, Tarun, please give me the list of all your national committees. I will then tell you which committees have to be empowered and which committees can make a change for nation building. So Mr. Tarun Das gave him a list of 86 national committees: direct tax, indirect tax, excise duty, customs duty, corporate tax, that, and mostly connected with finance and other indirect areas. He only ticked 3 committees: the Committee on Education, the Committee on Skill Building, and the Committee on Youth. He said only these 3 committees will make a change in the country. Others I'm not interested to meet. He said, I don't want to meet those people also. It's a waste of time. Again, here, by the grace of God, I always say that without the grace of God, nothing can happen. You may think it is happening, but it will never happen. By the grace of God, I was on the National Committee of CII at that time on education and on skills. In fact, CII was the only chamber out of the 100 chambers in India which had a committee on skill building. So out of those three, of course, I was not in the youth committee because I was no more a youth. It's only up to 35 years age you are considered youth. After that, you are outside that youth definition. So I met Sikar Prahlad. I gave him a copy of my book. He said, I'm surprised that you have done so much of work because we have started in 92 and I met him in 2005, 6, 7. He said, I'm surprised that they have not taken your handbook seriously because you are talking of exactly what I'm saying. You're talking of, you have a whole chapter on HRD, education, school education, higher education. You have a whole chapter on skill building, employment. He said, but please, you're welcome. You must, And then he was still more shocked when he realized that our handbook is in 12 Indian languages because none of these chambers of commerce, even the central government today, unfortunately, their websites are in English. Some of them are in Hindi. I really do not know the arrogance and the stupidity of our secretaries, government of India. What are they trying to say? Who are they trying to reach? Ministry of Agriculture, English mein, which farmer in India will understand what the hell they are going to say? Any case, that is another issue. So Sikar Prahlad, he talked only of these three things. I thought I'll mention this as importance because these are the learned gurus in the world. I mean, I am a very small, tiny speck in the universe, and our foundation is still smaller. And but by the grace of the Almighty, we have been able to identify the key areas. The other thing which I thought I will mention here, I was invited by the government of South Korea and by the Economic Times South Korea to chair a session in South Korea on skill building and vocational training. This was an international HR conference which they have once a year, HR Global Conference. 1,200 people, 50 countries. Only 2 Indians were there. I was one of them. And the other was Professor Anand, who was IIT Madras director at that time. He was speaking on higher education, but I was chairing a session on vocational training for developing countries. That just shows how much importance we give to human resource building. What is very astonishing is what I'm going to tell you now. To inaugurate this 2-day seminar, the Deputy Prime Minister of South Korea had come. So I went to pay my respects to him. I said, sir, I'm from India and I'd like to pay my respects and salute you, sir. Especially to see a Deputy Prime Minister of a country to come to a HR conference is unheard of in India. Ordinary ministers will not go, and they will send some junior officer or secretary or even below that additional secretary to attend such conference, or they may not come also. Most of these government people, they give their name and then last moment they say we are very busy and they decline. In fact, my always recommendation to various chambers is please don't call these government people at all, because half of them are not interested, the other half are busy in meetings, and I don't know what they are doing because they are actually public servants. When you call them, they should immediately come because it is our tax money which is paying their salary. But they think that they have become the new Maharajas of this country, unfortunately. And we, the public, is also very foolish. We go and pick up their slippers, we pick up their shoes, we do everything possible to make them feel that they are gods. Any case, so I talked to this Deputy Prime Minister. And he said, Mr. Khanna, do you know my country? I said, sir, I don't know your country from this angle. I'm doing business with South Korea. I've done some small joint venture also. But I salute you, sir. He said, now I will tell you something. In our country, we have the Prime Minister, just like you have. And we also have a Deputy Prime Minister, which I am. I am senior than all the ministers in the government, because after 10-year war with North Korea, we became very weak. So we said, let us see what is Japan doing, because Japan is the nearest country to them, which is very powerful. He said, we realized that Japan has come up after the Second World War because of excellent school education, higher education. So I said, sir, what are you trying to say? He says, my only job is I look after human assets. All education in Korea is under me. All training in Korea is under me. I don't look after finance. I don't look after infrastructure. I don't look after GDP, exports, nothing. My only job is human assets. He said, if I want to open 100 schools, I asked the finance minister, I want so much of money. Next year, I want to open 100 schools. I'm just giving you an example. Finance minister says, sir, not possible. He says, I fire the finance minister. I tell him to leave. He says, this is not the way to talk to the deputy prime minister. So I changed the finance minister. He says, we have been spending, we mean South Korea. He says, we have been spending in the initial years 15, 20, up to 25% of GDP on education. I do not know if you know that 50, 60 years ago, the South Koreans were poorer than the Indians. If you go back, you can check on today on Google, internet, you can get all the information. 50, 60 years ago, the average South Korean was poorer than an average Indian, earning nothing, few $100s per year, $50 a month or something. Today, a South Korean earns about $35,000, $40,000 per year, where we are at around $2,000, 20 times more. So what is the secret? South Korea also, like Japan and Germany, they have no raw material. They have no energy. I used to do trading with what is known as LG. It was that time called Lucky Gold Star. I was importing petrochemicals in one of my avatars. I used to go to South Korea. We were importing raw materials, petrochemicals. They were importing crude oil, and then making value added petrochemicals. And at that time, Samsung was just starting. Today, Samsung, LG have become world-class companies. And what is the secret? Secret is education, skill building, highly trained manpower, highly committed manpower. In fact, I just want to give you the example of Japan. There in the schools, the children, when I say children, I'm talking of 2 years to 16 years. Every day, they have to clean the school before going home. When I say clean, they have to clean the toilets, the bathrooms, the classrooms, the canteen. I've seen little children, 3, 4, 5-year-old, scrubbing the WC, the pot. Today in India, we say, oh, Jamadar saaf karega. What Jamadar? He is also a human being. So when you start cleaning the school, so that next day when you come, you get a clean school, you become very humble. There is something in the madness of Japan. Their education is holistic education, relevant education. In fact, in Germany and Japan, the kindergarten school teacher gets more or less the same salary, or sometimes more than the professor in the college. Because those teachers are more important. The foundation of the child is at that stage, not at the college stage. College is too late. College is very good, but it's too late. If you don't have the foundations as a child in school, then college has no meaning. So I'm just giving you these examples because the general information is always available to all of us. Here again, I really salute and congratulate Professor Moni. The initiatives which your university has taken for these 59 seminars Before the introduction, you gave so much information about various aspects of the economy. I wish other educational institutions in India also learn something from you and your university. The holistic approach is completely missing. The reason I say this, I will come to more details on education and skills, but I just want to mention that whether you want to improve agriculture, whether you want to improve manufacturing, whether you want to improve services, you look at services. How did India get the brand? How did India get its brand? Because of IT, not because of government of India. And how did IT perform? Cutthroat competition, cutthroat, international competition. People like FC Kohli, TCS, Wipro, all other companies. India got its brand because of IT. And I know Professor Mr. Rajinder Pawar. He has written the foreword of our book. He is the chairman of the NIIT group. I have met him so many times. He's IIT Delhi alumnus. He says, Krishan, every 3 months we have to change the syllabus of our training program because the IT industry is moving so fast that if we have to teach like the UGC and the Ministry of Education, our companies will collapse. We have to keep on changing the syllabus every 3 months. That means they change the syllabus 4 times a year to train their people in IT so that the Indian IT professional can compete or be better than the international counterpart. Training is okay, but relevant training. You have to be dynamic. As you see from our letterhead, Professor Moni, we write right on the top of our letterhead, the only constant in life is change. You have to be ready for change. In fact, I can tell you very, very frankly, and with all due respect and apologies to the academic people of this country, they don't want to change. I've seen them at close quarters. They are very good people, very good human beings, very honest, hardworking, but they don't want to change. If you don't change, you will perish. I want to give you an example of a parliamentarian who is a very good friend of mine in Switzerland, Professor Rudolf Strahm. I've mentioned him in my handbook also. You can Google him, Rudolf Strahm. He has written a book in German and then later on translated into English. And now the new version has come out. I have all the versions in German. I also have the old English edition. The old English edition is on our website. It's called Why Are the Swiss So Rich? Why are the Swiss people so rich? Switzerland is a landlocked country like Jammu Kashmir. They have no raw material. They have no energy. They have no sea. They cannot connect to the outside world. Everything is by land. But out of the Fortune 500, 100 companies, 20 companies come from Switzerland. We do not have a single Fortune 100 company in India. Nestle, Roche, I mean, their consumption in Switzerland is 1%. 99% is worldwide. People may not know. So what is the secret? The secret, according to him, why are the Swiss so rich? Vocational training. He says we have the most efficient, most highly skilled manpower in the world. Multitasking. For example, I have seen it with my own eyes in Switzerland and Germany. They have learned from Germany actually all this and they have improved. When a worker comes to your house to repair something, it could be plumbing, it could be masonry, it could be electrical. But he is a expert in all the three areas. He has all the tools, all the know-how in electrical and plumbing and in masonry. In India, what happens? The mason will come, he'll break something, the electrical fellow will have to come separately and the mason will have to come separately. not in those countries. That guy is a master of all the three. So that book is worth reading, Professor Moni. I would. It's free of cost. It's on my website on the home page alone. Why are the Swiss so rich? What I'm saying is that for our small organization to talk of these big subjects becomes very easy for me to talk, but very difficult for people in the audience to digest. But when Mr. Professor Rudolf Strahm of Switzerland, who is a parliamentarian, when he writes a book and gives examples, then what I'm saying becomes relevant. And actually, he's compared Switzerland with 25 countries of the world, not only with himself. He says in everything we are far ahead. Unemployment practically missing. GDP per person about $60,000-$70,000 per person. Today, I do not know how many people know that the best textile machinery in the world comes from Switzerland. The best textile machinery, it should really be coming from India. We have Lakshmi Machine Works, but they have got Reater, they have got so many other companies. Those they do so much of R&D. They do so much of development. They are looking at to survive. They have to export. What textile, will they do? The population is so small. Only 80 lakh people in Switzerland, 80 lakh people in Austria, and I must thank you. You mentioned about the skill centers. The total number of skill centers in Austria is 6,000. In Switzerland, 6,000. Total 12,000. India has 15,000 centers today. The total GDP of Switzerland and Austria is 35% of India. Population of both those two countries is only 1.6 crores. Same as J&K. Jammu and Kashmir, landlocked country, has a population of 1.6 crores. But they have only 30 centers, vocational training, while they have 12,000. I mentioned this to Mr. Manoj Sinha, who is the Lieutenant Governor of J&K. I gave him my book in Hindi and English. He said, I'm surprised. Kya ho raha hai idhar? What have we done? I said, sir, what you have done, I don't know. But you have a big job at hand. If you want to change Jammu and Kashmir, all those arts and crafts and all, nothing is formalized. Everything is chalta hai, Those poor people have to learn on their own. There's nothing, no method of training them properly and telling them what's happening in the rest of the world. And that goes for every state in India. In Maharashtra, we have 700 ITIs or ITCs. In Karnataka has maximum about 1,100. Other states mein to hai hi nahi hai. You see, we are so busy building a college, and most of the colleges coming up today are by politicians because they are interested in the capitation fees. They are not interested in education. Today we have 60,000 colleges and 15,000 skill centers. And very correctly you mentioned, Professor Moni, that China has got 5 lakh centers. That information I was able to get by default when I went to South Korea, because that Chinese gentleman was in the audience. And since I was the chairman of that session, he was very afraid of me. So whatever I asked from his laptop, he gave me the information. In fact, we are the only organization which collected such information about China. After that, when I sent him email, he never answered. I'm sure he was either sacked or executed because he gave me all the information. I got all the details about the Chinese courses which are taught. It was all in Mandarin. I got it translated into English. It is in my handbook only. In those centers, in those 3.5 lakh centers, there are 600 courses. 300 are agriculture based and 300 are MSMEs, like electrical repair, tractor repair, things which are required in the rural. Everybody can't be a farmer. The farmer depends upon so many other services. So they are teaching those people small businesses, and they are teaching them agriculture also. The idea is to make their country efficient. I just want to at this point give some very important information about China's agriculture. China, arable land is 20% less than India. India has the second largest arable land in the world after USA. But we are struggling at 310 million food grain production. China, with arable land 80% of India, is at 620 million, more than double of India's food grain production. Why? Because the Chinese farmer is trained. They are training 5 crore, 500 lakh farmers per year. We are, all those committees which you mentioned in Delhi, doubling. I have met all those people. I don't want to name them. They're not interested in all this, what we tell them. They said, we know everything. I said, what do you know? You have got only 650 KVKs, Krishi Vigyan Kendra, 736 districts. It's a shame. You want a farmer to travel 200 kilometers to come and learn from you? I said, you should be ashamed of yourself. They did not like that language. After that, they never, I think they must have destroyed all my letters and all our emails, because they are so arrogant that they don't want to even know why China is doing so well. And as you know, Professor Moni, the climate in China is very cold. Many parts of China only has one crop per year. By the grace of God, Bharat in India, we can easily get 3 crops a year. And here I want to give you one example where I am on the board of another NGO as an advisor. They in fact read our books and then they started that. We are doing plantation of fruit trees, and below that vegetables. But before that we do rainwater harvesting. Why I'm mentioning all this to you is that about 15 years ago, when the government, more than 15 years ago, when Atal Bihari Vajpayee was there, Shri Suresh Prabhu was minister, and one of his job was interlinking of rivers. And I used to meet Suresh Prabhu in Delhi and in his home in Bombay. He knows me very well, because people like me, we are too small to get appointments, so we go and sit outside the office till we are called. We sometimes have to sit for days before we are called, because we have no political connection. We don't have the money to pay the peon tips, because in Delhi in those days, if you wanted appointment, you first have to bribe the peon. Then he will take your card to the secretary, and secretary will decide whether you should meet the minister or not. So I used to sit outside. Then Suresh Prabhu used to come outside. Oh, I see you every day sitting here. What are you doing? I just said, I'm trying to meet you. Oh, you come. That is how we met him. So I told him, sir, don't do interlinking of rivers. That time the budget was 1,20,000 crores. I said, sir, do rainwater harvesting. It'll cost you maybe 4,000-5,000 crores. I explained to him. I said, getting more and more pumps, like in Maharashtra, the Congress government was buying every year pumps because the water table used to go down. In many places, the water table is 400 to 500 feet. It used to be 50 feet. Today is 400. So I said, sir, the way to improve agriculture is you need water. Most of the water goes back to the sea. So we have to do rainwater harvesting. So like that, I talked to him. Finally, in February 2004, he calls me up. He said, Krishanji, good news. Prime Minister has agreed. We should not go for interconnecting of river waters. We should go for rainwater harvesting. But he says we will do it after the election. You know what happened? They lost the election. Nothing happened. However, we don't get discouraged on all this. So what we are doing is, we started 3 years ago in Maharashtra, in one of the driest districts. The district is Bid, and we chose the worst taluka, Parli, Parli, where the water table was 500 feet. We started with rainwater harvesting. Professor Moni, you will be shocked to know how simple our plan is. We followed nature. Every year when it rains, the water forms streams, and those streams go to the main rivers. Most of these streams dry up after 3-4 months, but they have a path. You can get them from ISRO, maps and all are available. Everything is available. Unfortunately, the academic and the government and the district magistrate is not interested. But all that information is free. So we followed the maps. Wherever these streams are there, before the monsoon came, we dug them 5 meters right along the length of those streams till they meet the main river. And also in each taluka, we made about 150 to 200 ponds, 25 meter by 25 meter by 5 meter depth, in areas where there was nothing growing, banjar land, barren land. We made the villagers work. We told the villagers, you have to do the work. We will tell you what to do. You will get the benefit. Water will be yours. In 2 years, the water table is now 50 feet from 400. Instead of one crop, they're having 3 crops. We have planted from Maharashtra. We were invited to Madhya Pradesh. Then the other BJP states called us, Karnataka, Gujarat, UP. We have planted 2 crore fruit trees. The income of my farmers has gone up by 3 to 9 times, not double, 3 to 9 times. I can send you the websites and all that. And because his marginal farmer is a marginal farmer, his soul is in that land. You cannot tell him to destroy the borders of his land. If you tell him to destroy the borders of his land, you will kill his soul. Because that is his great-grandfather's land. You tell him to destroy it, make one big farm of 100 acres with other people. He cannot live with that. He will feel ashamed. He will commit suicide. So the question is, you have to have a system by which maintain the land, do rainwater harvesting, grow cash crops. Today, most of the farmers are growing either rice or wheat. We don't need so much rice and wheat. The Food Corporation of India godown already has 3-4 year stocks. The stocks are rotting. We need to make cash crops. We need to go into organic farming. I'll give you one example here, Professor Moni. My wife's grandfather, his name is Ram Nath Chopra. You can Google him, Ram Nath Chopra. He was a world expert on medicinal plants. As you know, sir, all Ayurvedic medicines are made from plants, jadi booty. All homeopathy also. And even 70% of allopathic medicines are made from plants, something which many people don't know. So Ramnath Chopra was a world-renowned pharmacology expert, and he concentrated on medicinal plants. He started India's first drug research institute in Jammu in 1940, which has now become a CSIR laboratory, drug research. And I went there about 3-4 years ago just to pay homage to my wife's grandfather, Ramnath. He was knighted by the British also. He became Sir Ramnath Chopra. The government of India, after his death, even issued a 50 rupee stamp on his name. In India, we only honor somebody when he's dead and gone. When he's alive, we don't care. Any case, they did that. And I went and met the director. I talked to him about organic agriculture. I told him, because I said, sir, you are working on this very good subject, but if we do chemicals, insecticides, pesticide, you will not be able to do Ayurveda one day. Everything will finish because all your raw materials will be with chemicals. And Ayurveda and homeopathy will not support. He agreed. He said, what to do? Farmers are not educated. Farmers don't have skills. So they use insecticide, pesticide, whatever the dealer tells him he uses. Most of the farmers use too much of insecticide, too much of pesticide, and too much of fertilizer also. Because they think that is the only way, because they are uneducated. Most of the farmers are only, anguta chap. They can't sign their name. They can't read and write. They have no idea. As I said, tell me one good example which I can tell the world outside your center. He said, I will give you one very good example. He says, Ramnath ji from Japan brought in his pocket mint, and then today India is exporting 4,000 crores of methanol worldwide. But he says if it was organic, the same volume of methanol would fetch 40,000 crores. I'm repeating, export of methanol 4,000 crores. If it was 100% organic, properly certified, the same volume, the farmers would earn 40,000 crores instead of 4,000. So, what is the secret? Secret is skill building.
Krishanji, that now would you like to uh,
Yeah, since the time I have run out, I wanted to give these examples rather than giving a normal, course which is available in my handbook. So I would just like to end in less than a minute, saying that if you need more details, the importance of education, importance of relevant education, I would request the people to read the new education policy. I will send to Professor Moni a very short synopsis of the new education policy in about 2 pages, which, sir, you can share with your audience. But I would really like all the academicians in India to read the new education policy, because much more than what I have done or said is in the new education policy to be implemented. And actually, if we can just, unfortunately, it has come 75 years after independence. So we have lost 75 years. But is better, as they say, better late than never. So with that, I will stop. I will request if people have any questions, they should send those questions to Professor Moni in writing. And from the knowledge he has got, he can answer all my questions. If he wants to share them with me, I'd be happy to answer them at a later date. And I again wish to personally thank Professor Moni, his team, and the Shobhit University for going out of the way for calling people like me to address this very important subject. Because I think if India has to become a 5 trillion, 10 trillion, 30 trillion dollar economy in this century, we have to concentrate on human assets, not on money, not on infrastructure. That is important. But without people, you cannot do those things. So with that, I thank you. And I wish you, Professor Moni, and your team and your university a lot of success. Keep on doing this good work for nation building. And I salute you once again, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shri Krishanji, the chairman of iWatch think tank. You have given a lot of practical experiences, case studies, and in your talk, which is very important, in the case studies from German, Japan, Switzerland, and Austria, and so on and so forth, China. It is very important. That's why in my introductory one, I thought that I should, give from the published documents, published report, the relevant input, so that the participants, the listeners, will be in a position to understand and appreciate. You said it that human asset, the capital, and 2 months back, and young CEO, he also talked on the same type topic, on the similar vein, that human capital is an asset. It is very important, and he also said it very clearly that these how the countries like German, Austria, Swiss, and Switzerland, and China, South Korea, Japan, they are all training the people very effectively. See, until unless you take that 14.5 crores operational holders in the agriculture sector, 90% are small and marginal farmers. What type of training they are getting it?
Zero, 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 sir.
So and they grow. India has got about 365 days as sunlight. We can grow agriculture crops throughout the year, and it's not like you said it that in China it's a very cold country, only one crop, but we have got you know 100 and more than 127 agroclimatic zones, four and more than 400 agriculture commodities. We can feed the whole world if our if sector-wise, if the people are those who are producing are trained, not the other people. They would like to look for employment opportunities. If the producers are trained on skills and technology, it is very important. And I also said it, Minister of Skill Development and Youth Affairs and MSMEs, and you have got so more than 45 national skill development councils, and you got about something like 4.3 million common services centers. That, but unfortunately, we have less number of skill centers. So this has to be changed. If we would like to look into the you know how the rural India can add GDP of India very effectively, I would like to quote the chairman quote from the chairman Hindustan Levers Limited. He said it in one of his interview that if with the rural management is done through technologies, you can add $1.33 billion to our GDP. We can add if the rural management is done properly. We don't have a natural resource accounting. We don't know what to grow where, and we don't have a database on farmer wise and farm wise, and we don't have an agricultural resources information system for modeling. We have remote sensing data, high resolution data, high resolution, who is building up algorithms to analyze the data. And this is where that your topic, transforming India through relevant education and vocational training. Since even though I am not an agriculture scientist, but I'm obsessed with bringing technology to agriculture, not passionate, obsessed. And the country needs a lot of agriculture polytechnics. The country needs a lot of agriculture schools. The country needs agriculture ITs if India is an agrarian economy. None of the higher education institutions have got agriculture as a use case. And they are all trying to make Indian economy prosperous. If they cannot have agriculture as a use case and India is in an agrarian economy, what will they do? Now, every state is got one IIT, one triple IT, one NIT, one central university, one central agricultural university, one AIMS, and one IIM. These are all national institute of importance, and every state has got it.
Right.
Now, in addition to the state level importance institutes, many of the state level importance the institutes are also of national importance. But what are they involved in states development? Whether the state governments are interested to involve them? How many such directors of these institutes are in the state level planning councils? They are not.
Professor Moni, I have one suggestion where only you can do it. I can send you 2 emails. They are all in my handbook. This is a article on agriculture where 11 suggestions we have given how to improve agriculture. I can send you the email with attachments through your good offices, sir. If you can send it to all the agricultural principals in India, because you see, when it comes from you, and we can have a MOU that we would like to work with you together, because coming on your letterhead, it will have a different value. When
So
we
it
send
is.
it to when we
Thank you
send
very
it,
much.
their PA itself will delete it. The PA will say, "Hey, kya hai? Nobody knows I watch." Shobhit University is a known
So
headache.
thank you very much. We will work together. We'll
Yeah,
work together because you see, you are an IITian of 1961 batch. I'm an IITian Chennai 1978 batch, 76, 78. So let both IITians join together and try to do something
yeah,
for
yeah.
the betterment of
Partnership
the
is the
society.
only way to go. Unless we
That's
partner
it.
with each
So
other, we
the reason for conducting this many webinar series is that I thought that during this difficult period, being an IIT and being a former director general NIC and technocrat, worked for grassroots level programs for the last 35 to 42 years. Let us do some contributions. Let us do that.
right.
Let us not wait for
Excellent.
anybody.
You
You
should
have a
not wait for
technology, you have an
anybody. Don't
internet,
wait for
you
anybody,
have
sir.
you have a laptop and you have it. And now I'm very happy that with the two webinar series, I'm now able to have a think tank of about something like 120 people from India and abroad working on different areas. This is what is needed. And so I'm very happy to have the today you are talk, transforming India through relevant education vocational training. And we have to sensitize the government, various departments on having relevant vocational training, and not only training outside the purview. And you said it that every industry has to spend a lot of money for training their employees. It's very important. It's a very good case study where you say that out of 750 people from your company, 120 has gone out because of their training, they were able to get a good jump. This is what should happen. It
Double, more than double they got in
double.
Dubai
So
and
this
other
is very
places.
important. And many people, many of our engineering graduates or management graduates or other discipline people should get what is happening in this country, and then how positive thinking has to take place. I felt very happy that your foundation name I Watch. It's very important. Not we watch, I watch within quotes. This. I don't know what this so many media, social media, and so on and so forth. We they bring it out now. For the last 2 years, I'm not even reading any newspapers, and it is not worth reading the newspapers.
I will give you some good tips. One tip, because 2 days ago there was a 186th Foundation Day celebration of the Bombay Chamber of in Bombay. I used to be a member. Now from 8 or 9 chambers I have resigned because most of them their thinking is too small. There's not on a national scale. But this time in their 186th, they invited me to also listen to the. So Dr. Rajiv Kumar was there from Niti Aayog, and he said something very important which I wanted to share with you. He says Niti Aayog has identified 100 universities and 75 think tanks in India who will look at nation building. So maybe you can get that information, and then you and I can work with those 100 entities, universities, and 75 think tanks, because they will then influence government policy.
It is essential. See, like for example, when the WhatsApp issue came, and many farmer secretaries talked to me that what is your view, and we are able to generate a note. I generated a note which gone from the chancellor's desk to prime minister's office, the defense minister's office, and education minister and IT minister. We got a good response. The country needs sovereign control of data centers. We need to
Absolutely.
have,
That
and
they are
then
doing now. Now they are doing it.
and then we have to have three software. One is email. 70% of the traffic in Gmail goes from India.
Right.
We have to have an email software in 22 constitutionally recognized languages,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
and then one video streaming software effectively to be utilized,
It will happen now with
and then
Geo. Geo will
one
do it.
one
Geo.
SMS software. If this is all, government of India banned 240 about 250 apps of Chinese origin. But now it is more than 2 years now. We are not able to have a meaningful apps to come into the market. And so I have suggested that it's a need for development of digital assets and sovereign control of data centers.
Very correct. I agree with you
And
100.
like US, all the CEOs of the big companies reported to the Home Secretary.
Right.
And the same manner, here the data center sovereign control has to have that they reported Home Secretary.
Right.
And autonomous, but they have to report it to the Home Secretary. They can't misuse the data which gets get collected in the data centers.
Right.
And then these three softwares, email is very important. That's why in the webinar series, I have a special session on email software, India emails, india.com, indiaemail.com, and in 22 constitutionally recognized languages. So thank you very much, sir. We'll work together, and we'll like to have a joint collaboration between Soviet Institute of Engineering and Technology, these two centers, and this conference is being done in association with African Asian Rural Development Organization, which has got 33 members from both Africa and Asia. So with this, I would like to thank you for participating in this program. Very important message, and I learned a lot. And this country, agriculture, manufacturing, and services sector have to, adopt, out of box thinking and spend budgets for training the, skill development and training, vocational training, relevant vocational training, and relevant education. And education has to be in the holistic manner.
Absolutely.
And this is if every university, like what Soviet Institute of Engineering is doing it with 100 and this is the 118th editions of two webinar series, 59 plus
Fantastic.
59.
Fantastic.
And if
Congratulations.
every engineering colleges, institutions can conduct such type of topics every week, and for the national building, and the country can emerge like anything.
Fantastic.
And it has to be talked. We should not hear from the bureaucrats. The bureaucrats should listen from us, from the educational institutions.
But that is how
The
it
district
happens in Germany and
and the
Japan. It is
districts,
all
I
bottom up.
always used to say, the district has got an annual budget of every year more than 2,000 crores. And the district collector is the CEO.
Correct.
And then how the educational institutions which are located in the particular districts are being utilized to spend the 2,000 crores which the government gives to the district as a grant in aid, how it is being spent, how it is being utilized as money for further development of the district. So this is the development economy, and this has to be looked into it. And educational institution, relevant education and vocational training is the way for training, transforming India. It's very important. And with this, I would like to close the today's
Thank you.
webinar. Thank you very much, and we'll continue to work together. With
Of course.
this, thank you very much. We'll close the webinar and leave the studio.
Thank you.
And with this, thank you for your participation, and greetings from the Soviet University. For more research inquiries, please write to Professor Moni Manaswamy, Professor Emeritus and Chairman, Center for Informatics Development Solutions and Application, and Center for Industry 4.0 Technology Studies and Application, and former Director General, National Informatics Center, Government of India, New Delhi. My email ID is moni@sovietuniversity.ac.in. We thank Honorable Chancellor of the Soviet Institute of Engineering and Technology, deemed to be university, and His Excellency, Secretary General, African Asian Rural Development Organization, on this very important day. Thank you very much. We close the webinar. And